let's take a look at the stream health. Yeah, that seems to be working. Okay. That's very, very good indeed. Now, okay. I don't know exactly how much we're going to be doing here tonight. I do know that I have a little bit of a headache, so either that's going to get worse and there's going to be a relatively shorter stream, or the painkillers that I just took are going to fix that and we're going to be fine. One or the other. We'll figure it out. Today's plan is to at least get all of the tutorial rooms relit. So it's just like 3 rooms or 2 rooms to go, so that should be pretty easy. And from there we already have this room pretty well lit up. That works for me. And then we might go ahead and start applying some, like, at least like the floor texture and do a little bit of lighting in the rooms in this dungeon over here. Because especially like this over here is just like dark. There's nothing else here. There's just darkness, which is not great. So that's the idea. I don't know how long this is all going to take, how far along we're going to get, but let's get started by taking a look at our skylight and seeing what its intensity scale is at 1 at the moment. I did increase it again, apparently 0.7. It keeps doing this. I don't know why it keeps doing this. I think it is because I re-enabled nanite tessellation, which you're not supposed to do yet, but I really needed it for the floor. I think that is the thing causing issues. Just unloading or reloading the levels fixes that though. I hope that it only is a skylight related thing and doesn't like fuck up anytime I place a new light. That would not be ideal. So let's try in this room. I think this is pretty good for the skylight, 0.7. Let's just wander around a little, and let's also mute the music. The frame rate is shit, but that makes sense. I mean, this looks pretty good. That's pretty decent, yeah. One, I don't know if it's an upside necessarily, but one extra thing that does come with all the lighting being relatively lower in brightness, because I disabled the skylight, is that the lighting that comes from my my weapons rail, which is missive, is more pronounced, which is potentially a good thing. Potentially it could be less than ideal. I also need to give that dude a gameplay ability to only shoot once and not a million times. Yeah, I think this looks pretty good. It is very interesting that those cutscene cameras seem to be rendering everything at a higher quality, at a different exposure. I'm not entirely sure. But this is a good reference point for where we're at. So let's take a look. We had this one. Then we also have this room over here, but I don't really think we need to add much to this. Because if we go up to like epic, it becomes a little bit darker in here. That's fine. And then we need to re-enable our scalability somewhere in here. If we go down to medium, we don't have the global illumination anymore, but we just have like more ambient light from the skylight, so this room still kind of works decently well enough. And then on low, we have that same thing, but like even more ugly. So this room kind of just works without me needing to add in extra lighting or anything. It's just all on through the global illumination emission. That leaves this room, which is very, very dark. And this room, which could just do with a little bit more lighting in general. So let's see what we can do here. We're going to be working in, what is this? That's 0.05 platforming. And I think, what are we going to do? Because I think the brightness levels for like all of these hotspots that I have are pretty good. But those are going to need to increase if I increase the lighting in the rest of this, because the rest of this is quite dark. It doesn't need to feel like daylight or anything in here. Also, set this to lumens, it just makes a little bit more sense to me. Matter of fact, let's actually just set all of the lights in here to lumen. Not to lumen, that's the global illumination. Lumens, which is a... It's very annoying. Which is a measurement of light. I don't know why I had it set to whatever I have it set to. Oh, there are all different kinds of lights. I can't select all of them at the same time. That's annoying. We'll just do them one by one then. It's okay if these are decently bright. This one... Okay. Specifically these these ones on the platform. If these feel a little bit on the bright side, as long as they are clearly conveying a color, right? They don't need to be so bright that they become white. I just want them to convey a color somewhat clearly. But just making these a little brighter is creating a little better contrast already. I do, however, think that if I decrease the attenuation radius on these, do they stop casting shadows that far down is the question. They do, that's amazing. Because I don't want them to actually like cast shadows onto the floor, because these square shadows are kind of ugly. Matter of fact, actually, they don't need to cast light down past the platform at all, I don't think. So yeah, that's pretty fine. A little bit beyond it is okay, but not too far. Now for this one, we just increase the radius a little bit so it actually takes in the entire platform. I don't know if I increased the... Yeah, I increased the brightness on this one already as well. Okay, now it does feel like we're actually like jumping from place to place here. But I don't know. It's kind of weird to me how this can be so dark. But I guess we'll get to that and see how we're going to fix that in a moment, because it is too dark. This one, we're just going to pull up a little bit higher so that it's a little bit more subtle in its fall off. Hello, 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 and welcome. I've been live for... Yeah, I started a little early because I was... Honestly, I was just waiting. And if I'm just waiting, I might as well just start, right? That's too bright. That's way too bright. I've also had an issue with people like coming up here and not noting that they can jump onto this platform, which is kind of a problem. Yeah, no, that's a little too bright, I think. Let's go down to like 50 for that one. 50 for this one too? Maybe a little less than 50. 30. 30 seems good. YouTube is fucking up with not showing the stream in time. Okay, that's not great. It's also not entirely surprising because it's YouTube. 30, 35. Let's go 35. And then also move it about a little bit. Okay. To be honest, even without making the room as a whole a little bit more bright, which we are going to do, this already is looking a lot better now that the platforms are a little bit better lit. And I think the lighting for this looks pretty good. Yeah, if your objects are static, it's not going to animate. That's it's quite important. I've had a lot of people in my tutorial about like moving a object over a spline have that issue. Like, oh, I did everything, but my thing's not moving. And honestly, I entirely forgot that I probably maybe should mention that fact that your thing shouldn't be set to static, because that doesn't work. Okay, let's play some actors, light actors, and now my question is, what do I do for lighting here? I mean, I can just add... Do you mean it's outside of the level bounds? Like hell it is. It's very much inside the... Okay. I guess I'm just gonna ignore that and pretend like that didn't happen. Like, I could just simply... it is not great to do, but I could just do that and set the intensity here to like 100. And make it a bigger source. And honestly, I don't hate it. That actually kind of works. The only thing that I really care about is the fact that the floor shouldn't be like overly dark. And this one definitely needs to be a lower intensity, like 50. We pull that down a little bit. Maybe that's even a little much. Like, it can be dark. Being dark is okay, just not black. Don't take that out of context, that would be bad. Like, the fact that this corner over here is all dark, I don't mind as much. I'll just walk through this to see what it feels like. The lighting looks really flat on the platforms. I'm moving up so that they're darker on the edges of the platforms. They're specifically fully lit on the platform because I don't like the look of the light only like partially falling onto them. And I do want to like specifically have them all like be these individual. Oh, I should turn off the scattering. The like individual colors, which is why they look so flat. They do have very sharp shadows though, which is, I mean, the spotlight, so that makes sense. Yeah, I think that's pretty decent here. I mean, again, that corner over there is very dark, but I don't need players to go over there, so that's quite fine. I suck at my own game. Let's walk over to that, actually. Let's walk over to this corner and see. No, okay, maybe it is a little too dark, because at this point, like, you actually can't see your own player anymore. It doesn't help that the player character itself is all black. But maybe that does need a little bit more light. But at that point, I just need to increase the skylight to like 0.85 maybe to get that done, because I shouldn't have to put down a billion tiny individual lights, because that's, well, a lot of work and also not great for performance. And these, well, actually, I don't know if I necessarily dislike the idea that the corners are a little dark like this. Maybe that can actually be quite good. Keep it in mind. The light up here seems pretty good too. So let's just play around a little with the skylight and put it up to 0.58, and then we have this fucking issue again. I hate this, but it's easy to fix. So yeah, the lighting there, just looking like a texture is kind of fine. Especially since when you're on them, they do cast a dynamic shadow. I do think that does make things a little better. Yeah, it's pretty good. Then, if we go down here, I didn't think about this. I'm not going to pretend like this was some genius move, but the fact that the horns are white is actually kind of great for seeing yourself in like dark corners like this. So I'm going to pretend like that was intentional, because that totally was my intention. Maybe I should actually, maybe I should make the tips of the horns slightly emissive. That could be kind of cool. That could also be really ugly though. That could be really ugly. It's something that we'll maybe have to try at some point. But for now, I think this room kind of works. A lot of the light will need to have a little bit more motivation behind it. But a lot of it also, it's fine if it just comes from nowhere. It's really not that big a deal. Let's see, that volumetric scattering should be at 0 for all these. Or maybe actually like putting them up could be interesting. I just don't know why it's not shown. Okay. That could actually be interesting. Hold on, have I set this to like 16 or something? Let's give that a try. Maybe 16 is a little bit on the high side. The volumetric like light rays don't go very well with my post-processing effects though. Especially when you're standing inside them. But this does make the platforms seem a little bit more important because you can like see the light rays onto them. But yeah, as I said, the post-processing like line shader, it feels like it shouldn't work the way it does with those volumetric things, and I'm not entirely sure if I can fix that. Because it still draws the lines always, and usually that's not a big deal if it draws those lines in a dark area, because, well, the area is dark and the lines are dark as well. But if the area itself is dark but there's a like a volumetric light ray, okay, here we do actually like need, if we're gonna do this, we do need a motivation for the lighting there, because this looks very, very silly. Just having the light coming out of nowhere. Like, if there is light, that's fine. If you can see these light cones, we definitely need some more motivation. But I don't think this is necessarily a bad idea either. I think this does look kind of cool. But we do need like some kind of floating thing there to cast that light down. I'm going to reconsider this at some point and see whether or not I still like it in the future. At the moment, I think it looks kind of cool, but that doesn't mean that it actually does. Well, hello there, and welcome, welcome, welcome. Like, even if we just have I'm just gonna do a thing real quick. Even if we just have like these spheres here, right? This actor will be placed in a level that is currently not checked out. Oh, that's what it says. Oh, that's okay. No, that makes sense. So if we like copy the location from this and just specifically like, and we do that, and we give this a like the XP orb. Oh, material, something like that. I mean, this is way too bright, obviously, but that could be kind of cool. Yeah, okay, so let's actually I have a material that's less intense than this. I just don't know what its name is anymore. It's this one. Yeah, so this, and then we can make it a little bit smaller, maybe 0.2. I mean, I am aware that this seems like it would cast light in all directions, not just down, but magic, okay? There's magic here. We can just say magic. Let me check general chat. Yeah, I don't think lanterns are really what I'm looking for here. But there's definitely like, I'm going to need to make lanterns and torches and whatever for some of the other, if not lighting, then at least for like decoration purposes. Also, hello, Scarlet. Does that say Scarlet? I feel like I need to get glasses, honestly, because my eyes have not been doing well lately. So let's just add that, actually. Let's add that. Let's just make a quick blueprint here, which, oh my fuck, I really need to organize this random content folder. but we're going to just add another one. And that's just going to be blueprint light ball, because that's what it is. It's a blueprint for a light ball. Will you save stream? YouTube saves the streams automatically when they're done. They just go up on the channel as VOD. So no worries about that. Let's add a sphere. Make that. I think. Oh, that's way too small. I think 0.1 was a little too small. I think this is a little bit better. And then we can have the. Let's see. We had the sky room opening thing. Oh, that's bright. Let's rename this to color. So actually know what I'm referencing. And then we'll make a dynamic material instance, which is not great, the fact that every single one of these things is going to have its own material instance, but we'll deal with it. It'll be okay. Where did my BP ball go? There we go. We can just say this is the skylight opening room material. And construction scripts. We create dynamic material instance for material. I said material color emission. We set vector parameter of value. Parameter we'll set is the color one. Which will be a variable, and the default value for that variable should not be black. Again, please don't take that out of context. We're working with light, okay? I'm going to say a lot of things about things not needing to be black in this stream, and I just want you to know we're talking about light. Calm the fuck down. Float parameter. The name will be the power of the light, and promote a variable. We'll just call that power. It's very descriptive. Wait, why is the float parameter a message and the vector parameter not? Target is audio parameter. Oh, that's because it's trying to set an audio parameter. Power. Float. Scalar parameter. That's what it's called. There's going to be a lot of good quotes coming from this stream, I can already tell. Okay, so that's the entire construction script we need for this. And now we can just say, hey, you can go fuck off. And we can add... Where did I put it? I don't know where it is. It's called BP something. BP light bulb. There we go. So if we just copy the location from this light. So here we can say the color of this light should go into, oh, this is going to be a nightmare to select. Should be that. And then that doesn't seem to be doing anything. Why not? Oh, because we're not setting the material. Set material This is going to be real bright in a second. Hold on. Yeah, I thought so. I mean, looks kind of neat. But let's set that a little lower again. Okay, so now why are you still being a little bitch about this? Is that still just too much? That's just still too much. Okay. .5. Also, this thing shouldn't have collision. We're just gonna get ahead of that. You want to be able to jump through it. And now we can just copy these over about 1,000,000 times. And we'll say BP like light ball. Just make a shit ton of copies. I think that's too many, but we'll be fine. And just copy over all their locations to the locations of these lights. And then I will look back at chat in a moment. Okay, hold on. These should probably be, yeah, they should probably be in order, but it's fine. Seven, 8, and 9. So we can delete 7 and 8. What I'm actually doing right now is adding these little lights on top here, so it looks like the light is coming from something, at least. Which, in and of itself, is just a floating orb of light, I am aware. But this looks a little less goofy, because again, magic. And that is the only explanation you're going to get out of me. Because magic. And the moment we match the colors here to the actual colors of the emitted light from these little orbs, this might actually look halfway decent. I don't imagine that this is going to be great for my performance, having that many like emissive things in here, but it'll be fine. It'll be fine, is what I tell myself to not be panicking. Light color. Light color. There we go. I mean, I probably should. I mean, you make a good point. You make a really good point, actually. I should just add a spotlight component to this actor. You make a really, really good point. That is so much more effective. Satellite color. And then in here we can set the volumetric scattering to 16 by default again, and the intensity, I think we set that to like 40 on average for these, right? Okay, now I've got a bunch of spotlights to remove. specifically only in this level. Okay, now this level is the only level that is available. So if I just remove all these, that should do it. More or less. I don't like this. I don't know what the fuck is going on here. Anyway. The attenuation radius for this, oh yeah, of course we also need to like actually rotate this thing properly. And then set the attenuation radius and such to something that makes some amount of sense. Why? Also, why do you have this material? I don't know why it keeps messing up like this. Yeah, an actor with both would be much better, especially since I might want to do this in more levels in the future. I don't know that I will, but it'll be nice to have. Don't know why I didn't do that in the first place, to be honest. Okay, the cone inner radius is going to be that. And then we have that. And I'm going to just real quick copy all that information over into the blueprint. I just don't know why they don't all have the light color set. Is it because I've got sRGB enabled? No. Like, did it what? Light color. Light color's not getting set. Why not? I'm not entirely sure. Oh, I'm doing this on the wrong monitor. I'm sorry, you can't see what I'm doing on my second monitor. Let's just like move this to the front of the line, and that shouldn't make a difference, but things that shouldn't make a difference have made a difference in the past, so who knows? Yeah, no. Levels. This is for the streaming levels. So, I don't know if that video is out yet where I go. I think it is. But you can make all these individual levels and like turn off and on the levels themselves. And on runtime, only ever like the ones that I specifically load in through my code will be loaded. So all these separate rooms can all exist in this space, but the game won't have to load all of them at the same time. And if I'm not working on a section of levels, I can just simply like turn off the folder with those levels in it, and that'll be fine. Is it because this is set to static? No, it's movable. Why? What? I'm so confused. I didn't make Unreal Engine. I can't help it that it's color with a U or without a U. Just gonna Google real quick. Unreal construction script set light color not working. Yeah, that's for material instance. I know how to do that. I know what the construction script does, I just need to know why. Can't set light color on blueprint. There we go. Nobody's fucking answered this post, because of course they haven't. I know I've done it before. I literally made a video about using a random seed to set a random color for your light. So I know it's possible. I just don't know. I don't know what's going wrong here is the issue. Because if I go into this color and I set it to like blue... What? Why does it work now? Why does it work now? Why does it only work when I... It's all white, all white, all white. Bam, blue. What? Why does it only do the color when it's like fully saturated? Huh? That is so weird. Is this a linear light color? This is a linear and this is also a linear light color. What the fuck? What if I set the alpha to like 0? That shouldn't it shouldn't even use the alpha, but I'm thoroughly confused. Also, why can't I access... Okay, thank you. Okay, so if I go into... Something's really fucky here. I don't know what or why. So if I go into here and I say, I like do this at half saturation, which is like a normal fucking color, go into the spotlight. So it literally just doesn't set the color at that point. Why? Is it because of the sRGB thing? Surely not. I mean, it was a good idea to make this into one actor that uses the same color. It just fucking refuses to work the way it should. I'm not entirely sure why. This feels like a bug. We're just going to, every time we change anything about this, set a color to random and see if that does anything. I mean, maybe it only... Maybe it only likes colors at the very outside of the... I mean, that makes a certain amount of sense, I suppose. Huh. Okay, apparently it only likes to use colors when they're fully saturated. If they're not, they're just set to being white. So let's just say it all together. I don't want it to be white. At least I did it with white this time. Can we like just saturate? Can we say desaturate 1 or something? Just always make it fully saturated. Wait, but now it... What the fuck? Now I can change the saturation of it for some. Is it because of this node? I don't feel like it's because of this node. I'm not gonna lie to you, because that's weird if it is because of that node. No, that does not make sense. Because RGB values can make any value with any saturation. Like RGB with 255, 255, 255 is just white. Which is, like, white is very not saturated. And 000 is just black, which is equally as not saturated. I think I didn't save anything there, which would suck. I guess there's one way to find out. Let's go back into our room. Yep, none of that shit saved. Well, let's see if our issue reappears a second time. I thought, by the way, that the reason that I thought it saved is because if I do Ctrl-Shift-S, I'll show you in a second, with the new plugin I installed for the Unity version control, it apparently doesn't like you to... This blueprint still exists. Okay. That's cool. Sure. I'm uncertain as to why, but I'll just go with it. I do like it. The only thing that I don't seem to like so far is... Actually, I'll just copy the position from this over. Is that seemingly... you can't save without committing that as a change in your... in here. Which means that every time I want to save my project, it's making a new push. And I don't really want that, but we're going to just deal with that for now. Oh, and the power should be, by default, in this blueprint, be set to 1. At least 1, maybe more. Yeah, probably more. Okay, so now why are you being a weird ass about all this? I am reading chat, I'm just not instantly responding to everything that is happening because I'm also like actually doing work. Why is it not setting any of these parameters to this thing now? What the fuck is any of this? Like, okay, this is pure green now. It's very ugly. I know. It's just not setting it to this material instance. Like, at all. Still just red. Fantastic. Well, we fixed one issue, but now we have the same issue with another component. What? Why? How? Oh, wait a second. What I was doing before wasn't making a new push every time I save something. It's making a new push every time I try to save an asset that didn't exist before. Okay, now that makes a lot more sense. So yeah, let's close this and reopen it. Also, the stream is very far behind, seemingly. Looking at the stream preview now. Which is weird because I'm pretty sure I set my stream settings to low latency. So, I don't know what's going on. So yeah, do you work now? Is my question. The answer is you do not. That highly depends on when you start to count whether how long I've been doing game dev. The answer could be a year if you want to start counting from this project. The answer could be 2 years and a bit, if you want to start counting from when I started to somewhat more seriously look into Unreal. The answer could be 15 years if you count from when I first started, like just playing around with things. With also a whole period in there where I didn't do like anything regarding game dev because I was busy with other things. So that's a complicated question for me to answer. I'm going to just like add a reroute node here to make sure that everything, I mean, these should all be the same pin, but I'm just going to make sure there's no like weirdness going on here. It's all regarding the same material. Does this have the same issue, by the way? If I just go to the... It's always red. Which is the default color, by the way. But its intensity seems to change based on saturation, or is that just the preview? No, that's just a preview. It shouldn't, because that's not how the construction script works, but it's a worthwhile thing to check. That you do make an interesting point. But the fact that it's pink is not because there was a shading error there. That's just the default color of the material. Yeah, there you go. But I also, in this case, I also do have the thing set to being pink. So that's, let's set this back to like a default power of, what did I have it at before? 10? Something like that. And set this to blue. Like when in Unity, when you have a shader error, things just become pink. I don't think that's what a shader error looks like in Unreal, so it wouldn't be that. Yeah, it's still doing it here as well. It's just something fucky going on with this construction script here. I don't know why. What I can do is collapse it into a function. Set light color. First and foremost, check if that fixes anything. It does not. At least not yet. It might need an update to fix itself. No. But just as a workaround, I can just run this on begin play again and see if that fixes anything. Maybe it's just a construction script thing. Oh yeah, I should not play this on high settings in full screen. It's not a good idea. Even that doesn't do anything. Okay. In that case, let's try to update the default color in here. No. In that case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that we don't need that in the event graph here anymore. I'm just going to get rid of this sphere for now. Manually add a static mesh. And we'll use the material sphere for that. Make the same size again. Speaking of materials, bad blueprint. Why? Because we actually need to like hook that up. That makes sense. It still sets it to the default value there. So, oh, that's the wrong thing. So if we bypass the color thing again, just for shits and giggles, it's just not doing it. Oh, because we crashed. This is very stupid. Because we crashed, the change name for the parameter here didn't save. And as such, it's trying to change a parameter that doesn't exist. I mean, it still didn't fix it, apparently. I feel like I'm actually going insane here. I needed to apply, not only save, but apply. Okay, now everything works. Fantastic. God, that took way too long. Check it out, fine, I don't care. This works now, that's the most important thing. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 6 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's turn everything off for a moment. I think it's in the persistent level. We need to move that. Okay, now that is all fixed up, let's get this working. Of course, they all need to be moved to the persistent level, not just the first one, or the platform level, rather, away from the persistent level. Okay, location and location paste. And now we just copy paste everything again. I think we deleted some things that we shouldn't have deleted anyway last time we did this, so it's a good thing that everything crashed. Is what I like to tell myself to feel better about it. That's that one. And I'm just going to manually set the colors again. I'm not going to copy those over because I can't be bothered. We don't need to leave that one or that one, but from here everything down can be deleted. Okay, that took way too much time, but let's do this again. We change this to a more orangey color. change this one to, I think we had a yellow kind of color. This one also a yellowish kind of color, but more saturated. A little more green. I don't remember what we had here, but I'm just gonna make it purple because I feel like it. And then this one wasn't centered, so we need to center it a little bit more. And maybe raise it up a tiny bit. This is too saturated. We need less aggressive purple. Okay, that feels like a quite a magical kind of place, doesn't it? Oh. I think our spotlights. Oh, we don't have the persistent level on, that's why we don't see. Hate that. That's why we don't see these light rays, because we don't have the volumetric fog. Okay, let's place back in the lighting for the floor here. Which, if I recall correctly, we just put down some rectangular lights for that, and we'll call it a day with that. Off the top of my head, I think this one was 70. Attenuation radius is just like massive. And then the source itself we made quite big as well. This is too big, or too bright rather. Hell, maybe even 20 is not enough. 30, 40. Turn this off. I can live with that. And then we want one over here ish as well. And we probably should actually put these specific ones on channel 1 so that they don't interact with the player. Yeah, we don't want the player to like fall through these and suddenly like have a bunch of light on them. So what we'll do is the player will always be on channel 0, environment will be on channel 1, and then we have channel 2 for other. Which reminds me, there's a couple of other lights that we actually need to not have the player. Do we? No, I think other. It's a very good question, actually. How does it deal with that? Because now it just doesn't cast that light onto the player, right? So the player is going to be dark there. And the floor is going to be lit. So I don't actually think that we want that at all. I think that's a really bad idea. No, that works. That actually kind of works. It doesn't need to necessarily make the... Well... Okay, here it looks a little weird. I'll admit that. The issue though being is if the player were to jump off this platform right onto where this light is, there's a split second. I'll just show what I'm worried about, because I'm fairly confident that that's going to happen. There's a split second where the character will just get very bright lighting on top of him. And I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to deal with that, to be honest. Unless there is a way, which there probably isn't, where I have like a inverse attenuation radius or something. Like at least when we walk in here right now, this feels a bit more natural. It's actually quite subtle. But if I go up here, I get lit, that's fine. But if I jump down here, I have a moment where there's just randomly lighting on my character while I'm falling down. Well, I fall down through that light, and that just seems kind of weird. So is there anything I can do about that? That's a issue that I've been having for a while, and I don't know that I can fix that, because it just kind of seems like that's how dynamic lighting works, so not much to do about that. Maybe somewhere in advanced there's an option for it. I doubt it, but inverse exposure blend. It's a blend factor between the intensity. This is used for gameplay lights that should constantly be a brightness on screen, independent of its current exposure. Okay, it's interesting. It's not what I want. I don't think any of these... I don't think any of those really do anything. Well, in that case, I'm just going to have to kind of like hope and assume that players aren't going to be stupid enough to jump off here into there. But that's the issue. They actually will, because once they pick up their ski, they're going to jump down here and they're going to jump right through my... Oh, yeah, that's right. I don't know how to deal with that. I'll be real with you. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, this is not going to help at all, but at least this does focus the light a little bit downward. I'm just going to pretend like that's not an issue, and maybe I'll find an issue, a fix for that issue later. I think that's the way I'm going to decide to deal with that for right now. Which leaves us with the next one, which is the room with the door to the boss. Which is going to have a similar issue, actually, because I want to have a light specifically set on this. Let's switch our streaming level. But I think this one is a little easier to deal with, because this doesn't have any weird platforming that allows you to jump through the source of the light. So here I can just set my attenuation radius to whatever it should be. And then just increase the intensity. And we can make it a little bit colder light, maybe. The problem, I'll just simulate this real quick with a cube. The problem here is that if I, or a sphere, that I don't care. I don't care. Is that if I jump down off of this ledge, for instance, with my character, I'll start snapping to false. There's a split-second moment where I fall down through where the light is, and I suddenly like have a lot of light cast onto my character. Right here. And that just looks a little weird. Especially since, by and large, I'm not going to fall down in this area. Except, in this case, when you collect this key, you're going to most likely immediately jump down to make your way to either this door or that door. And you're going to jump right through that light. It does have light layers, it has channels, but the issue is if I set it to a channel to not affect the player is not going to be affected by the light when they're standing under it at all. Meaning that now suddenly we have a situation where if I set this to light channel 1 and not 0, it will still affect the level because the level itself is set to take from light channel 1 and 0. But now if I put something in here that is only set to light channel 0, it's going to be unreasonably dark for being in this place where the floor itself is lit up. So that also doesn't really work. So that's a bit of an issue. What I would preferably have is some kind of setting where I have a fall off where it doesn't start applying the lighting of this thing until you are a certain distance away from it. At least that would make the issue less obvious. It wouldn't solve the issue, but it would make it so that there's not a hard cutoff point. The rectangular light is just a light that's cast down in a rectangular form. There's a couple of lighting options that you have. A direct light or a directional light is just a sunlight. It's a light that casts light from a certain direction, whatever place in the world you're in. A point light is a light that emits light from a point in all directions. So wherever I place this, everything around it gets lit up. This is by far the most expensive kind of light. Spotlight is, well, pretty self-explanatory. It's what you expect from a spotlight, just is a cone shape. And the rectangular light is kind of like a spotlight, but instead of a cone shape, it casts light in the shape of a rectangle, like we see here. And then we have a skylight, which is just like ambient light. So yeah, that's the issue I have with the rectangular light here. I'm just going to pretend like it's not an issue. I mean, if I have another rectangular light here just facing up, that also, like, I could do that, right? I could just have a light that I'm just going to rotate this one real quick, that faces up, so that way at least the character is lit constantly and you don't have that cut off. That kind of works to eliminate that cutoff, but it then creates the issue that we had before, right? Where I created these little orbs. Is this light casting down here? Nobody's going to question why this floor is lit. If you are suddenly getting lit while falling down here, that is the other half of the issue, right? So even if I do this, there's light, especially the light coming up here, that's going to be really weird having that light there. So it might be a better option, like it might be preferable to having the cutoff like it is right now, but it is a pretty quick moment where I don't know if it's that big a deal. Like adding a second light in the opposite way might just call more attention to the problem than it like helps, if you understand what I mean. Rotating at 45 degrees, like something like this, is not going to do anything because it still has the same issue that I fall into an active light. It's just going to be rotated, but the issue still is there's no light here, and very certainly there is light here. Can you just shut the fuck up? That's my phone. So doing this, like this ID, and then probably limiting this to only channel 0 or only channel 2, which might, maybe channel 2 is yes to the player, no to the environment. Maybe that works best. Maybe let's just try that actually. I think it's going to be weird. But I think we should try anyway. Because it might work. So let's go into this blueprint real quick and check its light channels. I could put it under the ramp. That is actually a pretty good idea. It still feels like it is a problem that should have an issue, or a solution, rather, that I'm just not entirely aware of at the moment. Because it's a pretty annoying type of issue if you want to put a light somewhere. But don't want it to. Yeah, now that thing being like I can just tell from there, having the lighting from the bottom added on top of that is not going to look very good. But the idea of moving this thing in that direction, setting it to light channel 0. And just rotating that around a little bit. Like this still is casting a significant amount of light onto the floor. And then we just make the height a little bit less so that it doesn't clip through. I think that'll be a good solution. I think that works. What I don't think works is my frame rate at the moment. Holy there we go. It's a little better. So yeah, the floor there still is lit up properly. And if I just like jump down from here, that feels a lot more natural. I'm going to cheat. And I'm going to say I want my character to... That's a good point actually. I don't have anything to copy the location of. Unless I can say, is this world space? It's probably local space, right? That's local space, yeah. I can't just drag you up, right? You have gravity. Yeah, you have gravity. That's that's not gonna work. I will just platform my way up. That's fine. I just want to actually like jump off of there, and thank you. I will actually, for gameplay reasons. Jesus Christ, this is bright suddenly. I do wonder why it is so much brighter on medium. Like, does global illumination just like... It does something weird with the skylights. I don't know what. Okay, if I jump down here, yeah, that works. Yeah, this is using Lumen because it looks good. But there is something about the lighting here that when global illumination is set to medium, it looks like this. And if I only change the global illumination to high, it looks like the way I want it to look. And I'm not entirely sure why. I think it has to do with the skylight. Let's just turn off the skylight altogether. Yeah, it has something to do with the skylight that seems to work differently between the different scalability settings. I just don't know exactly what it is. And it is also kind of needed in a way, because if I don't have the global illumination on, or at least not at this setting, there's a couple of rooms that do need that increased amount of light, like this one. So I think I'm just going to kind of say people have to deal with that. Not having a skylight is just not an option. I honestly don't really know where you get that. Because not having a skylight means that I need to put a light everywhere that I don't want to be pitch black. And that's just not good for performance. And also not necessarily going to look that much better. The skylight is just here to make the dark parts not be pure black. And well, there's the visual light bug now. But that just makes the dark parts here not pure black. That's all that it's there for. If you want to do that all through putting in like point light and spotlights and stuff like that, that's not necessarily going to look better, I don't think. And it is going to take a lot more computing power to get done. So I still don't think that is necessarily a great way of looking at things. I'm in the wrong level again, because of course I am. I honestly don't know what I want to do with this room. I haven't really thought about the lighting in here yet. So I'm just like trying a thing or two at this point. Maybe add a little more distance away from that. Yeah, I think that the skylight just doesn't do all that much with global illumination, and it does do a lot with... I mean, you can definitely see a difference when I turn it off. Like, there's a lot less light altogether, just as I showed before, and now it's going to bug out again. I really don't like that bug. I think it just produces more light when global illumination is turned off, or to a low setting, or whatever. I think that is really all there is to it. And I wish I was a little bit more sure about that, so that I knew what was going on. But I also am kind of fine with it if that's what's happening. Because let's make this a little bit more of a yellowish, orangish, warm kind of light. Because again, as I said before, if people turn the settings to low, it's quite fine. If sorry, I got distracted there for a moment. if they have a little bit more light from the skylight. I just wish I had the feeling that I had a little bit more control over this entire thing with the skylight. So I'm probably just going to like Google that a little bit and do a tiny bit more research to that, just to see if there's anything that I'm missing, because there probably is. Is there a hotkey for this? Yeah, but not a great hotkey. Let's see, these rectangular lights, I assume it's the last 4 added. Is it not? It is not. Okay, fine. Turning them off and on again adds a little bit more detail to this room. There's got to be a decent reason for why it does that with the skylight, but I don't for sure know why. We'll figure it out at some point, just not right now, not today. Do we need... I don't think we necessarily need lights in the hallways themselves, because those are pretty well lit through... I think that works. I don't like the fact that these... It's these 4, right? No, it's these 4. Let's see, where is it again? Volumetric scattering intensity 0 should be the default value for these things. I think it just fucked something up. I don't know what or where though. I think one of these might still have that one scattering 0. This one's scattering 1. No, it is not. Okay, I think this looks pretty much the way I imagined it would look like. Maybe it's a little dark here in the corners, but again, these are not places you're going to be thoroughly exploring, so it's fine that they're a little bit dark. We want some contrast in our lighting, right? We want dark places so that the light places stand out more. Just think that this light specifically might need to move just back a little bit. Or maybe in a little bit, actually. I don't know. That could be kind of a cool effect for this light, to be honest. Having it change its saturation. Yeah, I've got the I've got the presets right now, just set to medium, low, high, epic, cinematic. Don't use cinematic. But when I get around to making a proper menu, I'm going to expose all of these things individually for players to set, and that way I can make a preset with medium and I'll have global illumination set to high and everything else to medium, because I really do want people to like play through it and see the lighting this way. And if people's hardware actually can't take it, they can always set it to medium, but I do want the lighting to look like this for most people, if at all possible. This tint of light feels a little bit better. It feels a little... What I had before feels a little bit too much like daylight. And I didn't like that. This slightly turquoise kind of color feels just unnatural enough to the point where I think it actually is kind of cool. My microphone is kind of quiet. I very much doubt it. Yeah, no, that's... No, it's not. It could be slightly louder, but it's not that quiet. But I'll increase it a little bit. Let's see, microphone setup. Why does it open on that monitor? Let's see, devices, I think it is, right? I don't like modern Windows at all. Surely it's in devices. Audio. That's just speakers. I need microphones. Micro. No. I have a better idea. I think the way I can best do this is opening sound settings through here. There we go. Inputs, manage sound device, microphone. Again, I hate modern Windows. Can I... device properties? Okay, we can increase it a little bit. Let's see, is that better? How about now? Okay, that might be... that's a little bit louder. We're at about... well, we're about... that might be a little too loud. I think this is a little better. It's already fully set to open in OBS, it's just in Windows it wasn't. That's probably my PC, you can hear. Matter of fact, it's probably actually my my storage server PC, because my my actual workstation is pretty quiet. My storage server is not liquid cooled because there's no reason for it to be. So yeah, that's decently. You can hear the fans. I don't want to say it's decently loud, but you can definitely hear the fans in it. This room. I'm not going to do anything about the lighting in this one. Except maybe change out these. No, I don't think I will actually. I think I'm just going to keep the lighting in this. I'm pretty happy with the way this looks. I don't have a long enough cable to put it anywhere else. Or a place where I can reasonably route power to put it. So it's just behind me. It's also not technically it is a server, but it's really just another PC that has a cable going to it. Let's see, we all have this set up. I think we have every room like more or less lit up right now. Like we have this one, which looks a lot better than it did at the start. This one, there's not that much to do with it. I think I should put in some lanterns and some torches here to just spice things up, but I need to make those assets first. Then this one's just kind of good to go. And then we've got... Oh, wait a second, I don't have that level enabled. Then we've got... let's just turn everything on. This one, which also I'm actually quite happy just with the way this looks. Why do you have that many cores in, like, what do you use it for? Is more my question. There's a lot of reasons to have that. But it also feels like it could be very much overkill. I guess let's try and implement some materials on the floors for these rooms to get started with. I think we should do that. Which means that we're going to go into modeling mode. And, oh yeah, they changed the interface for modeling mode. How hard is it to make water in Unreal Engine? That heavily depends on what you want to do. Water is a very broad concept. If you just want to make like an ocean, Unreal has pre-built stuff for you. If you want to make a water material, it's as difficult as it is anywhere else making a good water material. If you want to make like a water simulation, I highly advise to use a plugin. This is going to be it's very difficult to explain game in a very short time. What it is I'll just show you a little bit of gameplay. I think that's the easiest way to go about explaining this. The frame rate will be shit, just don't look at that for the moment. But it's a action RPG dungeon type of game. The way I like to explain it is it's somewhere in the middle between a Dark Souls game and a Kingdom Hearts game. That is the best, easiest way I can explain it. Without going into like unneeded detail about everything surrounding the like the dungeon structure and stuff like that, because it's going to be somewhat open world. You can go into the dungeons in any order you like, that kind of stuff, because I like that. Is really the reason that exists. Do we have to go into model, mesh, UVs? Where is my goddamn material editor in here? I haven't used modeling mode since upgrading to 5.3. I mean, if you want to fall asleep to my content, be my guest. That's really, really good for my analytics. So please do. Is it attributes? Could be attributes, right? Added materials, there we go. Okay, that makes a certain amount of sense. This is now selecting. I want all in group. There we go. That's a lot easier to select that way. Then we are going to add a second or just one material slot, I guess. What did I call it again? Floor material. Yeah, no, everything is floor material. I did not want that. So let's add one and say that's floor material. and assign active material. Now, this is slightly skewed, but we're just going to kind of have to deal with that, honestly. ASMR isn't weird. It's kind of nice. Well, I personally don't like having people voices. Why are you not doing your thing? Because this is not a nanite enabled mesh. That's why. I personally really like rain sound to fall asleep to and stuff. I feel like we missed a triangle here. I don't know. It kind of feels like it, doesn't it? Enable nanite support, and then... No, not nanite support. Do we? Apply changes? Is that it? Do we have depth now? I really need to change the depth map for this one, because I don't like the rounded edges. I mean, I'm very close to the microphone right now. Do you think I'm weird? I just like very good, like, deep audio quality. No, that's not what I wanted at all. I just like that radio kind of sound, right? Especially with very big membrane microphones. Fuck, that's not what I wanted to do. I guess let's also apply it to these ones while we're at it. Actually, I don't... no, let's not. Because I don't know that I want these to be, like, floor tiled in that way. I'll just go through it. Oh my god, it's very dark in here. Hold on one moment. Let's set this to unlit, so I can actually see what the hell is going on. Can I make this a little smaller? There we go. I'll worry about what these little like stair steps are going to be made out of later. I probably just need to make a material for that in general. Same with the walls and stuff. Although I do have a temporary material set for the wall on the other meshes, so maybe I should. I don't know. I have a... what is it? A Rhodes anti-G USB thing. Rode anti-G... what is it? 8? No, that's a boom microphone. I'm thinking about the wrong thing. Anti-USB. Is it just anti-USB? It's this one. What is it called? Yeah, it is literally just called the Rode anti-USB. Wonderful microphone. It's not that expensive altogether. I think it was like $100 or something like that. Oh, it's okay. It's a little more expensive. It's 180. Good stuff though. Yeah, it's a good microphone. I'm very happy to have bought it. I've had a pretty shitty mic before this, but at some point I was like, let's invest in a at least slightly decent microphone. And I'm happy I did. Because the other one, it wasn't that bad, but it had a lot of like noise that it picked up, even without this computer behind me, going at a mile a minute. And for videos, that's not too bad, because I could denoise things quite easily with it. It was not a noise pattern that really impacted my voice at all. Well, of course it impacts my voice a little. Any denoising is going to impact your voice a little. But it wasn't that bad. But whenever I wanted to go like live with it, it's just frankly damn near unusable. I don't like the fact that I missed a square there. That's not good. The infinite jump, I don't know. Arguably I've made it worse, actually. Again, let's set this to medium for now. Just so that the frame rate is not entirely shit. Arguably I've made it worse because it's very easy now to, if you, thank you, I wanted you to go up. If you just want to attack something that's in midair, you will just move towards it now. Which is, I also have this slow-mo thing, which is not quite working. Which kind of like make the upward attack altogether not necessary anymore. I do think that this makes the game feel a lot smoother and a lot more snappy in general. But maybe maybe I should increase the gravity a little bit when you're attacking, because what it does right now is it decreases the gravity when you're attacking so that you can like mid-air combo things as well and not fall down after hitting it once, because that felt really unsatisfying and annoying. But the counter side to that is the fact that you can just kind of fly, which isn't great. Yeah, this is using the gameplay ability system. At least I'm porting over all my code to work with the gameplay ability system. It's not finished yet. There's quite a lot to do, but I'm pretty near finished getting everything. That's the wrong tool. I'm pretty near finished getting everything working in gas, so almost. I should make an auto hotkey macro for this because this is tedious as hell to do every single time, but it'll be fine. Let's see, now we do this one. It's also not that bad. Why the hell is there a player character in this room? What? Why? How? When did I do that? Let me check if everything is selected the way it's not. I knew it. Yeah, let's get rid of that player character there, because that should not be there, like, at all. Oh, and now I need to set everything to nanoid meshes as well. Why are you here? I don't have a video about gas yet because I'm still getting used to it myself. I'm still learning. Last Sunday, like day before yesterday or Saturday, I don't know, I did a whole stream working with gas, and there you can definitely see that I'm not in a place at the moment where I should be teaching anybody about it. But I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Give it a few more weeks for me to experiment with it. And then I might start uploading a series about the gameplay ability system and how it works and stuff. Because I do find a lack of halfway decent information on the gameplay ability system very irritating while learning, and it's going to take me a while to get my head around it to a point where I can actually like communicate it to other people. But I do hope that I can get into a situation where people don't have to have that frustration that I'm having right now, because I have made content that'll help people. That is what I'm hoping for anyway. I would like to think that I'm somewhat decent at informative content. But maybe I'm not, and it only makes sense to me because I'm the one that's actually explaining it. That is a possibility. I don't want those to be selected, so I'll come back to that in a moment. If I don't forget. I learn by getting frustrated quite a lot and then spending way too much time Googling, reading documentation where it exists, and watching tutorials and YouTube videos, and just like watching 10 tutorials on the same subject. Because there's a lot of repeated information in watching different tutorials, but there's also always something that somebody is not telling. And watching 10 tutorials on the same subject kind of, at some point, guarantees that you have gotten most of it at least. That is... Do I have a door selected? What the fuck? Okay. That generally lets you learn most of what you need to know. And then also just fucking about with things. Just like trying things out, experimenting, running into issues and then trying to solve those issues. You can spend a million years trying to... Oh, this is all temporary meshes anyway, because I need to redo this level. So all this is entirely unnecessary. You know what? Fuck this level. It's a temporary mesh anyway. Most of these things I'm probably going to, at least like the floor and stuff, they're going to stick around. That one I need to remake from scratch, so I'm not even gonna bother. This is going to, at least at the moment, that's the plan for it to eventually release on Steam when it's finished, but it's gonna be a while before it's finished. Or before I even make a Steam page, because making a Steam page, while easy, I don't know exactly how it works actually. I should look into that, but I do believe you need to like put up some money, which you do get back if you actually like start selling things. But I don't really feel like I'm far enough along at this point to invest money into making a Steam page for a game that's quite a whiles away. I should at some point, obviously, because I do need to start collecting people, wishlisting it and stuff like that before I try to release it. But for me, that's kind of like, oh, we'll deal with that tomorrow. And then tomorrow, I'll deal with that tomorrow. And so on and so forth. That's not very high up on my priority list at the moment. Even though, again, it probably should be. And assign material. Yeah, it's $100. I didn't know how much for sure, but $100, that seems to ring a bell. Okay, I think everything except that one fucking whatever it might be map here has a floor. Oh no, this one also doesn't have a floor yet. Well, it's an easy one, so. Eventually I'll make a Steam page, and I'll also need to make like good quality screenshots and a trailer and that kind of stuff, which are all things that I just need a little bit more work done for it. I also do think that like trying to teach other people what you've learned is a great way to improve your own skill. That is honestly partly the reason that I do like making YouTube videos about the things that I discover and the things that I learn, because in order to make those videos on those topics, I need to I need to be sure that I know my stuff well enough, and that does drive me to... what's the best way to do this, actually? I guess just one by one. That does drive me to learn things better and more in depth and that kind of stuff. Technically speaking, nanite is not supposed to be used on like very large meshes. It doesn't generally like that, apparently. But I say I want to use it for tessellation purposes, so fuck that. I'm doing it anyway. Yeah, I really need to use the sharper fall off one. This one doesn't look as good for tiles. Beat Spookyman price tag. Which one? What? I feel like I'm missing a reference there. Also, what time is it? I should probably, like, what? How long have I been streaming? Oh, 2 hours. Okay, feels like longer. At least my headache is gone. That's a good thing. I know, by the way, before anybody says it, I know that you can change properties for multiple assets at the same time, but that would require me to individually find these assets as well in my asset browser. And I don't know if you've looked at my content browser recently, but believe me, this is a faster way of doing it. Spookyman costs $1 million on Steam. What? I mean, I know. I just recently made memberships on this channel available, and this is not a static mesh yet. Okay, that's fine. And I added a new tier to my Patreon because I once heard somewhere a great piece of advice, and that is if you have a Patreon or supporter-based thing. Memberships on YouTube, you always make a meme tier, right? You always make a tier that you don't really want anybody to get. That's ridiculously expensive. Just in the off chance that somebody with too much money thinks it's funny and takes it, and then you make a lot of money. So I did make a tier on both of those supporter platforms for like $100. Nobody should do that. Like, I think on YouTube, it even reads in the description, you get literally nothing, but you do need like mental help or something like that. Or on Patreon. The other one says, you need nothing from me, but I do like you. It's kind of like those vibes. Selling a game for $1 million. Nobody's going to buy it, except if somebody does. You do get $1 million. I don't know. It might be 200 something dollars in Australian. It might have been 100 euros, not $100. I'm not entirely sure. No. That's not done through console commands, and that's for like a release feature of a game. You don't want to do things through console commands to begin with, because that's not a particularly great idea. The way my settings menu works is I have this UI thing here, and there's literally a node called set overall scalability, and that just takes in an integer. Where 0 is low, 1 is medium, 2 is high, 3 is epic, 4 is cinematic. I don't actually think that is accurate. No, that is accurate, never mind. So it just takes in a integer from 0 to 4, and that sets the overall scalability. So that is Everything in this menu, it just sets it to this or this or this or this with the use of that node. You can also set all of these individually if you want to, but I still need to implement a menu for that. That's not on the top of my to-do list right now, and that's a lot of fucking shit. Oh, the $1 million game is, yeah, no, okay, that makes a lot more sense that it's just like $300. That's still a lot of money for a game. Don't get me wrong. But that does make a lot more sense. Okay, let's do a little bit more lighting. I think the lighting here is actually like pretty decent as it is. Maybe this is a little on the bright side. So again, I like working with lumens by default. It's a little bit better. It also just feels like this room in general is unreasonably much brighter. I don't exactly know why. Like if I go into this room, it's decently bright. If I go into this room, why is it also bright here now? Oh, it's because I'm a medium. I need to set it to... Actually, let's just set only the global illumination to high. Yeah, so now this is dark, and this also is a lot darker. Okay. So yeah, this still needs to be a little less bright. I plan to release the game when it's done, and that's a cop-out answer, I know. For a more realistic answer is, first and foremost, this is going to need to change into a spotlight, I think. Or a point light even, maybe. For a more realistic answer is, I don't know at the moment. It depends on so many factors. Not least of which is... Okay, that actually works out pretty well. Just how much I can work on it. Like right now, I work on this, I don't know, like 10 to 15 hours a week. Sometimes a lot less. I'll be real with you. Sometimes a bit more. But if I could like get an opportunity to work more hours on this, it would release faster, obviously. But as for right now, it feels like it's going to be like another 2 years or so of development before it's reasonable to assume that I can even get close to releasing this. It's not the kind of light that I wanted to put in. So that would be sometime holiday 2026, 2024, 2025, 2025. Like late 2025, early 2026 would then be my guess. But that has so many asterisks. I can't talk. I've been talking for 2 hours. To it, it's kind of insane. So there's no real good way for me to answer that. Other than sometime in hopefully 2026, probably. But it could be later. It's probably not going to be sooner. I'll tell you that like pretty confidently. It's probably not sooner than that. Well, yeah, if I can live off of my YouTube content, I still do need to like put in time to make that content and learn the things that I need to learn to make that content. So I'd probably not reasonably get into a situation where I would work 40 hours a week on this. But I could get into a situation where I would work like 25 to 30 hours a week on this. At which point it might release in 2025 if I could start doing that like in a few months. But that's not going to happen. So that is one of those factors that heavily influences how fast I can develop. Is can I reasonably like make myself the money I need to live off of doing this and YouTube. And for the foreseeable future, the answer to that is no. But when I can, that will speed up the development quite a bit. I don't think that this level really needs a lot of lighting, to be honest. It kind of just does fine. Like this. It needs a lot more like decorative art assets, is mostly what this needs. $2077. I mean, it'll run better than Cyberpunk, I hope. Okay, let's get a start on this room over here. Which one is that actually? That is level 1-3. Oh, I know why. Because this one... Effect distance field lighting. Now we have some light in here because the skylight was getting blocked out. Which is making me think that the skylight might still be a bit too bright. Yeah, maybe the skylight is still a bit too bright. My day job is video editing, so... Like when I finish working on videos, I sit down and I either program or I model or I texture, and then I edit videos over that. Because my life really isn't that dynamic, all things considered. It's really weird that in this room... Okay, yeah, maybe... I think I understand. Because all of these... I'm starting to think that you might have more and more of a point about the skylight. I still think that the skylight should be there, but I think I should turn it down a bit more. Like at the moment, it's set to... Oh, it's set back to 1. That's why it's a bunch brighter again. That makes a lot... Fuck. I don't like this. This weird ass bug. Okay, that feels like a little bit more moody lighting. Now, let's go back and look at the levels we've just lit. That still looks good. Yeah, this could do with a little bit more light now. I don't think that it would be faster to model the whole map in Blender. For a variety of reasons. But not least of which is playtesting. If I make everything in Blender and I want to change something, I need to go back into Blender, export, and I re-import, and it just doesn't work. Also, a lot of the things that, like these walls that I'm making here, are made procedurally with engine tools that I made in Unreal Engine. And I could make procedural tools in Blender, I suppose, but not a huge fan of any of that. Okay, let's go back to this one here. And add in some more lights. I just don't know. Do I need more lights? Like I might, maybe, could do with... Let's just set all this to, like, let through distance field lighting first and foremost. Yeah, that's still too bright. .25. 0.25. 0.4. Okay, I kind of like the 0.4. This still looks pretty good. This might look a little dark up top here. Is that because this one has effect distance field lighting? No, it's just dark up top, which, I don't know, maybe that's fine. I feel like it's getting more and more difficult to judge these things because I've been looking at it for 2 hours. So maybe we just need to do a little run through of the levels that we've done so far and just accept that my judgment is getting a little impaired after 2 hours. Also, there's an alarm going off somewhere. Not my fucking problem. Who do I add it for? There's a bunch of people. I hope you guys aren't too bothered by like being able to hear the alarm. Unreal Editor, like the modeling tools in it have gotten a lot better, to be honest. So I do like working just in Unreal for a lot of like modeling related purposes now. There's a few things that it can't do very well yet, like anything sculpting related. I think it is possible to do sculpting in Unreal, but I don't think it's particularly good. I don't think, even though like character rigging and like weight painting is either in engine now or is coming in 5.4, I very much doubt that it's on par with how nice it is to do in Blender. I actually quite like the way that looks. Also, I've got 10,000 experience. Anything that is like slightly more organically shaped, also, I don't know, it doesn't feel like Unreal really is its modeling tools aren't really built for that for the most part. Then again, they're still in development, and I would very much like a modifier type system like you have in Blender, where you can non-destructively add modifiers, because it allows for things like subdivision surface modeling, and that is fucking just amazing. Does that not damage me? Hold on. That should damage me. I don't know why it didn't. But yeah, it all actually kind of just looks fine. Okay, this is a bit dark, and that definitely shouldn't be there. Yeah, this room needs a little bit more light. Like this. Not entirely decided on it. This, however, I like more than I thought I would. Like standing here, having a light on that door, having those pillars lit up a little bit, I do like this one. Any alternatives for Substance Painter? You could use Blender, it's not as good. Okay, so this is a little too dark. This definitely needs a little bit more power for some of the lights. I use Blender for everything, because frankly I don't do enough texture work at the moment to be paying for a software to do that with. But I do plan to whenever it feels like a different material with a different height offset map. Whenever I get back into like doing more modeling and doing more texturing, I do plan to get more into Substance Painter again. I used it for like a couple of weeks once. Actually, the floor texture that you see here is made in Substance Designer. Okay, this room is awesome. Walking through this room feels really good. I really like the colors here. It's not a decimal. It's 10,000. is what it is. Because I picked up a... Wait, why am I sinking into the floor here? Something to look into. I picked up a orb with 10k that I use for testing the... Yeah, that's not damaging me. That's weird. Testing the level up system is what I was going to say, by the way. No, it should be a dot, not a comma. I'm not American. Fuck that. Also, I believe I didn't even decide... I don't have ledge grabbing enabled for this. Assets. Can I dash my way through this? Maybe? No. No? Okay. Let me actually take a look at that, because I don't know if I had to specifically put in a point or a comma. I think the engine just decided that for me. Don't look at this. This is embarrassing. Update experience. Text to floats. Yeah, now it just does that itself. It just does that when you put in a float and turn it into a text. Just does the like dotting of large numbers automatically by itself, and it puts in a dot, not a comma. It's probably some way that you can change that in localization settings, because I know that some regions in the world use commas instead of dots there. Which makes no sense to me, because a comma is a decimal. Well, it's not a decimal, but it's an indication for like decimals, in at least in most parts of the world, I believe. Well, then Australia also does it wrong. I thought America did it wrong, but apparently America does it right, because I assume that because Epic Unreal does it that way, that's the way Americans do it. Dot or comma. How do you even explain that? Like large numbers? Do not use a comma for numbers in the thousand. Add a hard space for 4-digit numbers or above, as English and French conventions for large numbers differ. Do big numbers have commas or dots? Traditionally, English-speaking countries, except South Africa, employed commas as the... oh, it's called a delimiter. And other European countries use periods or spaces. Maybe spaces would be a better way to go about doing it, because everybody will understand that the same way. But still, again, if I just go in here, I didn't make any of these decisions. That's just the way Unreal does that. I'm pretty sure, because if I just put in some gibberish there, yeah, sure, I don't care. And I say like new game, actually load game. Yeah, it just puts in that gibberish there. So it's literally just the output of that node, which gives me, like, just using the use grouping does it that way. Is there any, like, there's not even detail options for it or anything. So if I want to change that, I'm going to have to make my own function to split up numbers, and I don't know if I really find that worthwhile. Yeah, I am from the Netherlands, so apparently it's just a European thing. Apparently we are the weird ones. Still bothers me that Unreal does it the same way if Americans also use commas and not dots. Oh, it might use your PC language. That is a very, very good point. That very much could be the case. Oh, I hope that's the case, actually. Huh, I hadn't considered that yet. The orb is in the room. I don't know if it's actually in the last build. It's worth checking out if you have the last build installed. At least the last build on itch. It's right here in the room with the spawner, just right next to the first checkpoint here. There's this orb with 10k experience. If it is there, do feel free to let me know whether or not it does a dot for you or a comma, because like aside from the fact that I'm probably not very likely to like change anything about it if it is a dot, because it's inconvenient for me and I've got like a bunch of shit to do as it is. I am now just straight up curious as to how that works, because as it is right now, I assume that your idea of it might use your system language for that, or your location, actually, probably, because my system language is in English. I specifically set my system language to English in everything always, because if I have something to troubleshoot, I don't like not having the English names for like settings and stuff. It's really annoying when you have like your machine set to Dutch and you're troubleshooting something and they're like, oh, go into the X settings and do Y, and it's called something different because you've got your system settings not to English. And I mean, I'm fluent enough in English to not be bothered by the fact that it's in English throughout the day. And as a matter of fact, I honestly, my work is is for 90% in English content as well. So most of the day I'm immersed in English language anyway. So I kind of have to switch my brain into Dutch mode whenever I go outside into the real world. So English more or less is my default language as it is. English is not native language in the Netherlands, but most Dutch people speak English remarkably well. Like I believe, and don't quote me on this because this seems like it could be a very bullshit statistic, but I believe the percentage of English speakers in the Netherlands is actually straight up higher than it is in the United States. Because there's regions in the US where it's predominantly Spanish, right? Where people like barely or just don't speak English. And most people under like 60 something here speak at least understandable English. Most of them have a pretty thick accent because English, it's different from Dutch. Dutch is a very Germanic language. And you can hear that from their accents. And for me, it bothers me when I hear people with a very like hard Dutch accent. That's just because I know what to be annoyed at and know what to look for. But by and large, people here speak very, very good English. What's the best way to go about solving that little conundrum? I think that works. I think we can deal with that. Now we have a similar problem to what we had before, though, don't we? Well, with this light, it probably isn't actually as big a deal, now that I think about it. It's probably fine. Yeah, it is. Okay, so you do have a comment. That's very interesting. It's also very, very good for me because it means that I don't have to bother trying to change that. But it's also very interesting. I really, I wouldn't have thought about that. But it is funny how the Netherlands has a higher Dutch-speaking population than America, where it is actually like the first native language. Well, it's not the first native language, is it? That's the Native Americans. It's easy to go past that. English is very much not the original native language of America. Let's increase the height for these a little bit. But you know what I mean, right? Let's make these barn doors angle out a little bit more so that we have... Yeah, that seems a bit better. That's actually a good point. It probably is the same with Australia, right? Because you have native people there, which I imagine were treated about as well as the Native Americans were. Which is to say, quite shit. Okay, who wants to play a little game? We're going to go into... what is it again? Optimization view modes. And we're going to look at the light complexity. Is there any place here that's just going to turn pure white? Because I entirely like fucked the lighting complexity. I don't think we did anything about the lighting in any of these rooms, so that's fine. Yeah, it's kind of a thing where treating native people badly is just kind of like what Europeans do. Yeah, okay, this is a pretty complex lighting situation over here. I can see that, but I'm just going to accept that as that's fine. As long as it's not the entire map and just a little bit, like the same here, there's a little bit of complexity there, but and the whole floor is quite complex. But we can probably deal with that, right? That's probably not that big a deal. Probably here there's some complexity. Oh, this actually looks like a very cool pattern. Looking at the light mat complexity. Huh. And then we have... well, yeah, this is of course going to be remarkably light. And then he has no lighting at all. Okay, so our lighting is actually not that complex, which is great. Now, we do need a little bit of lighting here on these staircases to draw attention to them. I mean, I'm Dutch, so it's been a while since my country has been like going about the world and treating people like shit, but we very much did that as well. Like back in the 1800s or so. We did a lot of spice trade, and when we found spices in Asia, we found that the places those spices grow also had people. And since Dutch people are very like business oriented, we were like, we can sell these spices and these people, which less than great. That's not something that you should do, probably. But hey, if you're going to steal people's spices, I mean, if you're just going to sell them as well, they're not going to complain about stealing the spices. So, all I'm saying, I don't condone it. But from a pure like business perspective, I do understand the reasoning behind it. Just goes to show that you shouldn't always make things just decisions based on, on business related findings, because then you get that kind of shit, and we don't want that kind of shit, because that kind of shit is fucked up. So, who wants to talk about Facebook next? So remember when before this stream I applied for sponsor programs, affiliate programs for a couple of companies? Dear God, I hope that they don't watch this stream, because that wouldn't be good. I'll do you one better. I've never seen a kangaroo, full stop. I mean, I'm not Australian, so that makes sense, but I did see a kangaroo in the background of a video I edited for an Australian person once. It's really funny, because that person was a little annoyed at the fact that this, like, do Australians, I know you probably don't know this because Tasmania, right? But do Australian people generally like just view kangaroos with like annoyance the same way that I would be annoyed at a pigeon? Because I really hope that that's the case. Because for me, a kangaroo might as well be a unicorn, right? It's almost a mythical animal. I really like the idea that there's a whole continent of people who are just kind of annoyed at the existence of these animals. I mean, I'm sure that's not how the average Australian views kangaroos, but just let me believe, okay? Or you can just not know. That also works. Let's put a rectangular light down here as well. Just a... Wait, what? Wait, what? Where am I? What the fuck happened? Okay, sure. Oh, this is not going to be that fun, because I need to orientate this thing somewhat properly. How am I going to do this? I guess I just make this fucking humongous and try to... Oh, I've got top view. I've got a top view. Hold on. Perspective. Top view. I'm a genius. I remembered a feature existed. Are you proud of me yet? And then just copy on over to this side. And then copy both of those over to this side. Just to have a bit of lighting going on here. And this entire setup is now feeling a lot more dynamic already. You see pigeons as pigeons. Well, that's great, because pigeons are the fucking worst animal ever to be created. Like, if there is a god, and I'm not, like, going definitive on that answer on live stream one way or the other, it must be a hateful god to have created pigeons. That's all I'm saying about pigeons. I don't like pigeons. I do like this room a lot more now that it has lights. Now that it has lights in it, though. What I don't like is the fact that I accidentally added all these lights into the wrong fucking streaming level. God damn it. I keep doing that. I'm so glad that Unreal has an option to just select actors and move them into a different streaming level. It clearly has that because more people do this, obviously. This is 1-1, I believe, opening room. And I believe that's all the lighting in there. Good. But I think we're going to leave it there for right now. We did a little bit of lighting. We did a bit of texture applying, which is not that interesting, but it's something that needed to be done. I think there should be a spotlight here as well. Hold on one moment. We're going to do that. We're going to do that still. Wow, that is actually amazing. The way that I placed that perfectly with this circle. I mean, I'm just that good. That was entirely on purpose. Well, it is what I wanted, to be fair, but it's kind of amazing how it lines up like that. Okay, that is a lot better. The whole idea is that all these colors come together in the middle to make pure white. So I do need a pure white light in the middle there. It's been a fun hanging out with everybody here today. I don't know what we'll be doing in the next stream, honestly. We might be finishing up some of the gas related stuff. We might be doing some more lighting. We might be making some art assets to put in here. I don't know. Maybe we'll do that. We definitely do need to do that at some point. But for now, I'm going to close down a lot of these assets that we don't need to look at anymore. And I'm going to just chill the fuck out after 3 hours of constant talking and working and stuff. Did I put back? I did. Good. Don't need this anymore. Don't need that anymore. Don't need you anymore. This is gameplay ability, play basic attack animation. Don't need you. Enemy damage to player, we do need to do something with that still. Heal particles are working. Heal player effect still needs some work. Gameplay ability for player healing, going to keep open as well. Dash cooldown works. Enemy damage. I think the enemy damage also works, but might need a little bit more work in a moment as well. Basic sword attack works. Mana dash cost, I think, works. Always feels good to close down a bunch of tabs after you're done doing some work. So now we only have a couple of tabs open that we can look at next time. And we're talking about spiders and frogs. Okay, neat. Thanks everybody for tuning in.